Hey, Trevor here. Welcome to From Argyle Street. Just want to share with you all a slight shift and what I've been doing with From Argyle Street. And to that end, I want to share with you the books that I'm planning to cover over the next 3 months, July, August, and September. But before we get to that, just a quick preface, right? So with From Argyle Street, really what I'm trying to do is to foster a different kind of interaction with and even conversation around books, right? Great works of fiction. And if you check the About page, I kind of wrote a little bit about it there, the difference between reviews and interpretations. Reviews really helping with book selection, being an appraisal of a book's worth. You should read it for these reasons. You shouldn't read it for those reasons. This is why I liked it. This is why I didn't. Whereas a book interpretation is aiming more so at what a book means, right? It's trying to put together the pieces of the puzzle and bring forward a cohesive thought that the book is conveying. And that's really what From Argyle Street is aimed at, right? To create that kind of understanding of books and even foster conversations that are aimed in that direction. So to that end, slight shift in how things have been happening. It's going to happen very similar, essentially. I just want to bring out a little bit more of a communal nature, right? In order to help casual readers better understand and enjoy some of the greatest works of fiction, because that's really who this is for. You know, this isn't for people who are teaching American literature for a living. It's not for people writing books on Hemingway and Steinbeck and Dickens and whoever they may be writing them on. This is for people, just ordinary people who are reading these works to enjoy them and for the betterment of their lives. So I'd like to add more of a communal element to what we've had going so far, taking the Greek idea of a symposium, right? A symposium being essentially a guided conversation on some particular intellectual theme or idea, whether it's justice, mercy, courage, whatever it would happen to be, right? Except when it comes to From Argyle Street, I want the conversation to be guided around the understanding of particular great works of fiction. So in that regard, everything will kind of continue to function as it has been, but the difference will be looking for more interaction, more conversation, trying to foster more discussion aimed at understanding these books. Now, I know one of the things that has to take place in order for that to happen is you need to know what books are coming, right? So that way you have the chance to read them ahead of time. So with that being said, I'd like to just kind of lay out the books for the next few months. Let me just say, you don't have to read every book that we cover on From Argyle Street, but I'd like to at least present them a few months out at a time. So that way, if you see a book or two books or maybe all three books, you're like, man, I'd love to read that one, love to understand that work better, then you can read it ahead of time. So that way, when the month comes, you're prepped and ready to engage in the conversation, contribute, and even grow in a better understanding of that work throughout the month. So I still think being part of From Argyle Street gets you to a much deeper understanding with much less work, a whole lot faster. So that same value offer is still there. It just has a little more interaction, a little more engagement, which I think will help us all get there faster and better. So all that to say, these are the works coming up for the next 3 months. In July, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, often considered one of the greatest novels ever written. Sometimes it can get written off, I think particularly by guys, as being a work that really is just about love, romance, kind of sappy in that way. And it does have elements of that. But at the same time, it's a work that has so much to teach us about character and relationships and the kinds of people that we allow into our lives that end up being beneficial, and those that we allow in that end up not being so beneficial. So a lot to learn from that particular book. Plus, Jane Austen is hilarious. Her sense of humor is kind of biting, pretty sharp, kind of merciless, but very entertaining. So that's coming up in July. In August, the work is going to be The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, another Pulitzer Prize winner, classic American novel. Should be so fun. I've actually only read that one once myself, just read it over the summer so far. Loved the first time through, and am looking forward to going back through again, because I will say it ended and all I had were question marks. So I got to read that one again and figure out exactly what's going on. I've got a couple hypotheses. So, but that'll be coming in August, and then in September, I kind of want to throw it up to the group here, get a little bit of input. I think I'm wavering between two different works. One would be another book that's often considered one of the greatest novels of all time, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This one, I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on it, yet I'd probably read it again just for fun and put that together. When it comes to the other work, though, it's actually called The Netanyahus by Joseph Cohen. Just won the Pulitzer Prize this year. And so this is a work that is probably about to play a pretty prominent role in conversations, culturally important work at this particular moment, just having won the award. I'm really not familiar with it, but if we want to go that route, I think because of the timing, because of the current cultural significance, that'd be a really fun way to go. So either way, so that's the lineup. July, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. August, The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. And then September, either The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald or The Netanyahus by Joseph Cohen, the book that won the Pulitzer Prize this year, just won it. So if you got a decision on those last ones, if you got a leaning, let me know in the comments below. Just drop whichever one you'd like to read, or even just to see from Argyle Street cover and develop an interpretation on. So let me know down there. That's what's coming up, turning it into more of a, from Argyle Street, into an interactive conversation, trying to foster conversation that helps us understand books better, and so we can live better also and think better also. So thanks for coming along for the journey, and that's what's coming down the road. All right, see ya.